the monetary policy instruments that can affect the money supply, because this one is what central bank do. So you just go back and review that. So we just need that material already for just to use for just already chip the MS curve. Because for O&O, reserve requirement, policy rate, and discount rate, I just tell you already in chapter 16. So you just have to review these things again, okay? So just take a note that it doesn't mean that the chapter 16 has been deleted, but there are some material just already happened here, okay? So if I using government bond on O purchase, so money supply increase. So if I use on sale, money supply reduce. For reserve requirement, can you just help me answer if reserve requirement increase, what happened to money supply? If reserve requirement increase, money supply will okay, decrease. And in that case, money supply curve can shift leftward. So if money supply reduce, it will shift leftward, right? But if it increase, it will shift rightward. Why it can shift? Because there are other factors that make money supply change, which is the central bank control. Okay, but if interest rate change, money supply doesn't change, right? But when we're using monetary policy instrument, which is the control by central bank, so money supply can shift. Policy rate, this rate is different. Just take note. This rate is different with this interest rate. Because the interest rate here is just only money market interest rate, which, for example, deposit rate, lending rate. But here, so this one is the policy rate, which can be the baseline rate that the central bank has picked up and saying that this one is the policy rate. Okay. If it increase, what happened to money supply? If policy rate increase, there are the policy rate increase, it made money market rate increase as well. So the cost of borrowing and everything will be higher. So the money supply will be lower. But if policy rate reduce, money supply will increase. Okay. And last one is discount rate, which is the lending rate between central bank and commercial bank. So this one you learned already, right? So we just only use this material from chapter 16 just for these things. So if discount rate increase, what happened to money supply? Discount rate, which is the lending rate between central bank and commercial bank. If it increase, what happened to money supply? Reduce, okay. So you know that. So this is the factors that make MS curve shift. But MS curve, the is vertical line, okay. The slope is just vertical. But this is the factors that make MS to shift. For money demand, you knowing that it's built from liquidity preference theory, which is the aim of holding money. And I just tell you already that we have three proposed. And this is money demand. Okay, money demand curve, why slope downward? Okay, why the money demand curve have slope downward? Because it just come from the expectation, or I can call it like speculative purpose of holding money. Okay, so which I just tell you already in the morning class that for speculative purpose, money demand depends on interest rate. If interest rate increase, money demand will reduce, right? So if interest rate reduce, money demand will increase. So that's why this speculative purpose making the money demand to have downward slope. Okay, and you will get that kind of things. So the factors that make MD to shift, it can be any other factors but not interest rate. Okay, for example, there are some factors that make you guys to hold more money. There are some examples in the exercise I will tell you later, but for example, it can be some things like maybe because it can be other factors but not interest rate, right? So it can be, for example, you feel your health is not good, you have a risk of your health, and you feeling that you need money for precautionary purpose more, maybe MD will increase, or you're thinking that inflation in the future will increase, so you want to hold more money for transaction purpose. So it can be any other factors, but not interest rate, that make MD to shift. Okay, but money supply can shift because of monetary policies. Okay, that I just tell you before. Okay, so now you know the reasons why MS curve have vertical line and the reason why MS curve shift. For MD, you knowing that why it negative slope because it comes from speculative purpose, and MD shift can be any other factors but not the interest rate. And this is a graph of money market graph. Okay. Now, the next slide will be the effects of monetary policies on the AD. Okay, in fact, this one is just explain the slope. I'm thinking whether I just tell you. Okay, now, okay, I can teach you. In fact, I'm just thinking whether I want to skip this or I will teach you. Okay, anyway, I will teach you. Okay, now, right. So now we will learn about the relationship between two graphs. When money market change, what is the change in AD? Okay, so I will teach you two things. First one, how the money market graph affects on the slope of AD. Okay, and another thing is that how money market graph will affect the AD by the treatment of AD. So let's see what happened. So in fact, we explained the downward slope of AD via three effects, right? So when price change, okay, how money market graph affect the slope of AD? In fact, we just explained the slope of AD through the interest rate effects that I just tell you before. But during I tell you interest rate effects, in fact, I didn't draw any graph to explain. But here, I just teaching you the money market graph, so that's why I can add in that graph to explain the interest rate effect, just only that. Okay, so this one is just an extra material just to add into the interest rate effects, just only that. Okay, but the main material will be the next slide, but I just tell you here first. Okay, so for this is some material to adding to the interest rate effects. In fact, you learned this one already, but when I explain you interest rate effect, I didn't draw graph to you. Okay, but because I just teaching you the money market, so that's why I will draw graph for you. So right now you know money market graph, so you can use this graph to explain the interest rate effects as well. Okay. You begin interest rate effects by, this one is the effects that affects the slope of AD. First of all, if price increase, when price increase, you knowing that people will have more MD. Okay, people will tend to hold more money because they're thinking that they just want to hold money for spending, especially for spending to buy goods and service, they will hold more money. Okay. Then when they hold more money, right? I just explained to you before that interest rate will increase. But before I didn't draw any graph to you, but now you know about money market already, or the money market graph already, so I can just introduce you the graph. Okay, so this one is interest rate, this one is money supply. So this one is MD, MS. You can use the graph in the slide. You don't need to draw it again. So at first, this is money market equilibrium at point A. And P is at P0, Q0. Okay, now. When price increase, for example, price increase from P0 to P1. Okay, when price increase, okay, you write it first. So I just try to explain interest rate effect by bring the graph for you. Just only that I just want to say in this slide. Okay, I didn't talk about the effects of monetary policy yet. I just want to add the way you can explain the interest rate effects, just only that. Okay, so when price increase, for example, price increase from P0 to P1, you can see that the graph of AD just moved along the curve. Okay, when P increase, what happened? People thinking that now price increase, people will hold more MD, especially for MD for transaction purpose, because they're thinking that they need more cash to buy goods and service because right now price increase, right? So this is one more factor that make MD curve shift rightward. MD will increase. So you can see this one is other factor that make MD shift. You see, because interest rate doesn't change, price change. Make MD to shift from MD0 to MD1. MD change. Okay, so MD shift. At I0, what happened? At I0, the one who can draw or finish the drawing of the graph, can you tell me at I0 what excess we have? Excess something. MD is here, right? MS is here. Excess something at I0. At I0, what happened? MD, the new MD is here. Okay? MD is bigger than MS, you see. So we have excess money demand. So everyone would like to hold money in their hand. They don't want to spend. They want to hold money. So that's why no one would like to lend or giving money to others. So that's why it makes interest rate to increase until we reach to the new equilibrium point at point A prime. Okay, interest rate increase from I0 to I1. So in fact, I just explained you interest rate effects as usual, but here I just bring you more graph, just only that. Because before, I cannot draw the graph for you because you didn't learn what is MD graph, what is MS, what is money market. So just only that I just want to say. So interest rate increase. So it makes you have more cost of borrowing. So that's why you don't want to invest, you invest less. Demand for good and service reduce and AD reduce. So here, AD reduce from Q0 to Q1. The graph just only move along the curve. You can see that when price increase, interest rate increase. Why interest rate increase? Because MD shift rightward. Interest rate increase. So you can see that from the graph, you invest less, AD will shift will lower, but AD doesn't shift because the graph just move along the curve because we begin at price increase. And that is. So it looks like you explained the same interest rate effects, but I just adding you more graph. Just all the material here, just only that. I just adding the graph of money market for you. But the main material for this chapter is that to explain the effects of monetary policies on AD, right? Which I will go into in the next couple of minutes. This one is just lecture note, right? If you need explanation, so I just make you to getting a full explanations about MD increase. So you can use the arrow here to say MD change from MD0 to MD1, but the link, everything's here. You can just substitute my arrow to the sentence. So you're getting a good forms when you explain all of the graphs. So if you go to other subject that I'm not teaching you again, so you can just use this concept. I think it's okay. So you can say equilibrium change for money market change from A to A prime. AD curve, here the graph just move along the curve, equilibrium change from B to B prime. Okay, just only that. So this one is the interest rate effects, and I adding more graph for you. Okay, can I move? Or you still want some time to write? Okay. In fact, the same as the graph in the slide, but I just tell you the process. Okay, so price change first, and then MD shift, interest rate change, and then AD reduce. So just move along the curve. Now we go to the main things, okay? So this is the things that we want to know. But the things, interest rate effects, I just add the graph in. So which is the material in the last chapter. Now, so we can analyze the effects of monetary policies on AD. The effects here can be happen when central bank change money supply. So central bank can change money supply through the monetary policy tools that you just know it before, okay? So when central bank change all these tools, it can affect on money supply to shift. Okay. So aggregate demand, aggregate supply. So what? Okay. Aggregate supply. So can you change this one? Money supply curve, not aggregate supply. Money supply curve will shift when there is a change in monetary policies. Okay, through the monetary policy instrument that you learned it before. It's not have to be 3 monetary policy, it can be many monetary policy instrument that you learned before. So when money supply, okay, you just change from the aggregate supply to money supply curve. When it shifts, it can lead to the shipment of the money supply, or it can shift rightward or leftward. If it increase, money supply will shift rightward. If it reduce, money supply will shift leftward. Okay, now let's see what happened. From this graph, okay? I just write this graph again, but you can use this graph and adding more explanations. Okay, now what happened? Okay, I suppose, because the slide doesn't tell you what happened. In fact, they let money supply shift right. Where? Is it? Yes. Suppose what happened? Okay, suppose. Okay. The question says, suppose central bank doing on purchase, what happened to AD? Okay. Suppose central bank doing on purchase, what happened to aggregate demand? Okay. And what happened to price and quantities? If you see these questions, it will be the effects of monetary policy on AD curve. In fact, you learned the effects on the price and quantity already in the last chapter. However, the question here, you don't need to explain in the short term or long term. So the question will be asked you about what happened to AD and let you to explain the effects on price level and quantities of goods. without telling you that you need to explain it in short terms or long term. But if the question say to you that you need to explain it in long term and short terms, so it will be the material for previous chapters, not here. Okay? But if they just ask you about what happened to AD curve, what happened to price and quantity, just only that. They didn't say to you about the time period, so it means that it is about this kind of this chapter. So I just not want to let you confused, because if they ask you about time period, it will be the material for the previous chapter. Now, when the central bank do on or sell is make money supply to increase. So that's why money supply curve will shift rightward. You can say it shift from what level to what level. You say money supply curve shift rightward from, you can say from MS0 to MS1. So it shift rightward. Okay, rightward. Again, you need to explain the excess, okay, of the graph. Can you tell me what happened at I0? What happened? MS shift. So just explain the new graph that shift. Okay, with the old graph. MS is here. MD is here. Which one is bigger? MS. So it has excess. Okay, excess money supply. So just thinking about right now the market, there are a lot of money in the market. Okay. So if someone borrow money from you, you will be happy to lending to them because it's have a lot of money, right? So you don't need to set up a high interest rate. So interest rate will be lower until we reach to the new point at point A prime. Interest rate go down. So you have to say at I0 we have excess money supply, okay, and then interest rate go down from I0 to I1. Money supply increase, quantity of money increase from M0 to M1. Equilibrium change from A to A prime. This one you don't need to remember, you just explain what the graph is and you get score. But if you not explain, just writing the or drawing the graph, you get just only half score because I want to see your explanations. Just only that. Okay. Let's say at I0 we have excess money supply. Okay. And then what happens? Interest rate go down from I0 to I1. Equilibrium change and the quantity of money increase. But in fact, you have to use your explanation, but this one is just lecture note. I don't need to write it to you quite alone. So right now, money supply increase. What happened to AD? So you should explain more. What happened to AD when money supply increase? So you have money. So when you have money, what you do with your money before AD shift, you know it. You use money to spend, right? So can you tell me what factor that make AD to shift? C, I, D, and X. Now you have money. Usually you will use your money to spend. So when money supply increase, you will consume more, invest more. So that's why AD will increase. And you have, in your explanation, you should say something about this as well, because I don't know what make aggregate demand change. Okay, so you consume more, invest more, AD will shift. And you can see this factor is not price level, so the graph never move along the curve, but the graph will shift. So AD curve will shift rightward at any price level. So we can say shift from AD0 to AD1. Okay, just shift it. So in this material, in this chapter, it's very easy because you just learn the effects of these policies on AD. So you don't need to draw the graph of AS to cut this one. Okay, because the question just asks you what happened on AD curve, what happened on price level and quantity, just only that. Okay, but if the question led you to draw supply, so they will ask you about what happened to AS, AD, or even let you to explain the price and quantity in short term, long term, so you know that it will be the graph in previous chapters. So can you tell me here? So you just shift AD, right? So price, quantities
Yeah.
will increase.
So-
In fact, because you doesn't have AS curve
Can
to
you pass me
shift,
the-
so you just learn about, you just explain about the effect just only on AD. So that's why I just make the price to be just constant because I don't know what the level of AS to shift because you just explain just only the effects on AD curve. So you just make the price just the same in AD curve, just shift along at any price level. So the equilibrium, the point will change from B to B prime and the quantity of goods will increase from Q0 to Q1. You don't need to say that price increase because you doesn't draw any AS curve to cut, so we don't know whether price increase or anything. So just only explain the effects on AD, just only that. AD shift, and then at any price, AD shift rightward. So quantities of goods and service increase from Q0 to Q1, and that is. So this is the effects of monetary policies on AD curve, and that's all of this section for the effects of monetary policies. Okay. Now, if there are some things, if I'm doing on or sell, for example, if I'm doing on or sell, the graph will be shift leftward, right? So you just shift on the leftward graph. Okay. And before you have, you see, MS is on the leftward. MS is here. You compare with MD that doesn't shift. So we have MD bigger than MS. So we have excess money demand and then interest rate go up. Okay, so the graph to shift on the opposite direction and then everything will be on the opposite direction. AD will shift leftward. I just show you how to shift the graph. But in fact, all of the explanation is the same, but in the opposite direction. It's just only that. Because I think the effects of monetary policy is not so difficult because you just know about, okay, monetary policy tools, what we have all reserve requirement, everything, right? And then it can make money supply to shift right or shift leftward, and then it affect on AD. Just only that. Okay, so we finish the sections of the effects on monetary policy that affects on AD. Okay? Okay, finish on the effects of monetary policy on AD. So we can move to the effects of fiscal policy on AD. And that is for this chapter. Okay, so can I move? No, not yet. Okay. Okay, I think I tried them something. Okay, finish. Okay, this one. Okay, finish. The Fed or central bank, if it decrease money money supply curve will shift leftward. Interest rate will increase, and then they have a decrease in credit demand at any point level. So credit demand shift left. So this is the same that I just tell you on the green pen. Okay. Right. Okay. And this one we just emphasize you again about what is the monetary policy tools that central bank do. So I just tell you already, right, that we have OMO as a requirement, discount rate, and the fund rate, or the policy rate. Okay, that's all. So I just cut this thing out because I need to learn. So just emphasize you again and finish. Okay, so we just move to the, I think, more or less, the middle sections of these chapters. Now, we go to the fiscal policies that influence AD. Okay. Fiscal policies can be done by changing two things, whether government changing their government spending or changing tax. The tax can be income tax or the VAT or any type of tax that government would like to change. And I think I just tell you already about what type of fiscal policy we have. So let's see whether you still remember. Do you still remember what type of fiscal policy that we have? We have government budget deficit and government budget surplus, right? Can you tell me what is the difference between two things? When I'm doing government budget deficit, which one is bigger? Are you sure? G or T? Okay, because spending should be bigger than revenue. Okay, deficit. But surplus revenue will be bigger than spending. So they have two types of policy, and this policy can change. AD, because AD is the factor that make government spending or tax is the factor that make AD to shift, right? Even I changing G, whatever, it make AD to shift. So that's why we just learn this factor that affects on AD. So this is what we learn in this chapter. The questions will be in the form of, sometimes I didn't tell you that G increased or G reduced directly, but I can tell you that, for example, government using budget deficit, so you knowing that G increased, okay? Or I tell you that government using budget surplus, G will reduce. Or in other words, if I didn't tell you about government doing something, but I can tell you that, okay, right now, there are situations that government try to reducing tax, something like that. So you know that when government reducing tax, it look like government doing budget deficit. So you know that G will increase comparing with T, and then you know it AD should change. Or here, I just tell you that T increase, there are some point that government would like to increase income tax, for example. And you know that, increasing income tax is similar to they using government budget surplus, or G will reduce or decrease compared with tax. So you know that AD will reduce. So if G increase, AD will increase, but if G reduce, AD will reduce. So you know mainly what happened. And what graph should change, so I just tell you overall that what will be mentioned here. Now your job is to explain when G chain or T chain, what happened on AD. Maybe we need to just draw some graph of AD, but it's easy, it's not difficult. Okay. Now can I move? Yes. Okay, highlight here. The effects of government policies on AD, it have about two main effects. Okay, so now you know what the direction change, what is the type of government policy. We have budget deficit and surplus, right? How about the effects of fiscal policy on AD? It have about two effects. First effect, so-called multiplier effects, is the effects that when G chain or T chain, when government spending or tax chain, it can lead to the chain of AD, but the chain of AD is bigger than G or T chain. So this is so-called multiplier effect. However, if I change G or T, but AD at the end of the day, AD chain, but less than G or T chain, we call it, we have crowding out effect. So we have two effects. But for monetary policy, we have just only one effect, that monetary policy chain, AD chip, just only that. But for fiscal policies, it can divide into two types or two effects. Okay, so we need to learn about these two effects and can explain these two effects. So this one, I use it 2.1, the change in government spending, and I just tell you 2.2, the change in tax. But in fact, you can explain using the same explanation, exactly the same explanations, because either G chain or T chain, you will get the same directions, effects. Depends on whether you're using government budget deficit or surplus. But I think you can explain using the same explanation. Okay, so this one can be G chain or T chain is the same. Okay, so first I will introduce you the multiplier effects. Multiplier effects can be explained through some graph. Okay. Multiplier effects explain you the additional shipment in AD. Okay, so and the result is that it makes the AD chain to change more than G or T that chain. So let's see what happened. Okay, suppose I just assume. Okay, I just assume that government using government budget deficit by increasing their spending on something about 20 billion. I just suppose that government used $20 billion to buy an aircraft. Okay, and I will just use this example to explain to you about what happened as the multiplier effect. So we go to multiplier effects first. Okay, and I also draw this graph, but in fact you can just not have to draw it, you can just add your note. Okay, but I will just tell you. Okay, suppose what happened is that government try to increase their government spending by purchasing an aircraft for maybe for military purpose, for example. So this one I explain multiplier effects, right? Not carving out yet. Okay, when government spending increased about 20 billion, what happened? So this one is in aircraft. So the money go to an aircraft industry. The slide doesn't explain you in detail about how to explain multipliers. So I just use this opportunity to just explain it for you by myself. So G increase, and the money go to an aircraft industry. For example, I have an aircraft industry, I get the money from government because they want to buy my aircraft. So what I'm doing is that I will aircraft industry will have more profit or more income because the government buy from them. So they'll be using money to spending more. For example, they can just hire more workers to work because in their service they just like getting more income, getting more money, right? Because government just buy from them. So they can expand, in fact, they can expand their productions. So what they do is that they can invest more further in their any other material. Also for worker, because they employ more worker, right? So the worker in the aircraft industry will have more income. They can consume more. So I try to link with AD. So how G-chain AD will change in aircraft industry, because we need to explain multiplier effects. So it should be go further. So G-chain in aircraft industry, they can invest more. They can employ more labor. And also labor itself, if you work at the aircraft company, maybe you get more income. They just pay you more OT to work. You get more money. You're spending more. All these effects will make AD increase or AD curve shift. AD curve shift rightward from AD0 to AD1. You just draw one graph of AD, which is appear in the next slide, and just shift it rightward. Very easy one. You don't need to draw any AS curve to just shift, to just cut the slope or anything. So you just draw AD, very easy. You just draw AD and shift it rightward at any price level. For example, this is price. When it shifts rightward, you just shift it and saying that quantity of output change from Q0 to Q1. This one is in fact the graph in your slide. And you just take note that this shipment is happened because G-chain 20 billion. Okay. So this is the first shipment of the graph, and multiplier effects not yet appear. So the multiplier effect not yet happened. So this is just only the first time shipment of the graph. Multiplier not happened yet. So AD curve shift rightward here equal to 20 billions. And this shipment is happened just only the first shipment is happened because G-chain. You don't need to draw AS curve to cut, just only AD. So that's why I say it's not difficult. Okay, just finish. The multiplier effects will appear or will happen after this step. Okay, because the money pop in aircraft, but money should be flow furthermore. Okay, this one okay, this one finish. So suppose what they go to invest. For example, the firms, the aircraft industry would like to invest more. They can build more factory, or they need more truck to just transportation their aircraft material, whatever. For example, if they invest more, they go to buy more truck or the car, or I can say they go to buy. They go to buy a car in order to use in their company, for example, because they get income. Okay. Or worker, for example, it can be worker, they get more income, they can consume more, right? So they can just expand more their consume into buy car. But anyway, it can just explain through both way whether this aircraft industry they have more money, they will buy some things more. For example, they would like to invest, they just would like to buy car to transport in their industry. Or worker here, they get more income, they go to buy car or they just consume more. Okay. For example, they go to buy car or buy, if it makes sense, you can say they can buy another material, for example, like aircraft material, for example, they can buy steel or whatever. Okay. So money just go to car industry. Okay, so car industry again, the same. They have more profit, they have more income. Again, okay, everything will be, they will employ more worker or worker have more income. So because money can flow to another industry, for example, like if aircraft industry would like to expand their investment into steel industry or car industry, okay, or the worker here, when they got more money, they just use it to consume more. For example, they go to buy car to use in their household, for example. So income in that industry will increase, and in that industry, they can employ more labor, or worker in that industry can get more income. So they will be consume more, invest more. AD will increase. So AD curve shift second time from AD1 to AD2. This is the step of multiplier that appear after this. So we call multiplier effects. Okay, multiplier effects start. I can say multiplier effect will start after AD1 shift. So any effects after this, if AD continue to shift furthermore and more, we call it multiplier effect. You can go to your graph and shift AD curve second time. This one is the shipment and it is come from multiplier effect. The way to explain multiplier effect is not difficult. You just shift AD further. You go to your graph and shift AD second time. Okay, so multiplier effect will start. It depends on how long multiplier effect will start. It depends on how long money flow in the market, how long people spend. So it can go furthermore, shift rightward, and continue. Okay. So I think because you need to shift some graph, so if you want to explain to me multiplier effects, I think you just give me example, just only maybe another two industry, I think is enough for you. Okay, so for example, you can just continue just only one time. You can say what happened next. Okay, for example, in car industry, they just have more money. They just would like to invest more. For example, they just go to buy another material. For example, they would like to buy computers as their factors of production or any ship of the material. Okay, so you could just go just only one time. Okay, and then they say that, for example, car industry, when they want to invest more, they just want to buy, for example, computers or the some of the electronic part, equipment, or electronic equipment to use in their factory, okay? Or even if I explain through the consumer side, I can say that worker, they have more income, they just want to buy things in their household. For example, they can buy computer, any equipment, the same explanation. This industry will have more income, okay, have more profit. and they can just employ more worker get more income. You can copy, worker get more income. Okay, and then you just shift AD curve another time. Okay, AD2 to AD3. Multiplier effect is continuous, depend on how good are the economy, how long money flow in the systems, and it can go further. Okay, I think you can just teach me just only three industry. I think is enough, and then you can just shift AD curve third time. There are some reasons that I shift these things about 3 times. Okay, but in fact can be furthermore. Okay, but anyway. So this one is multiplier effects. We call it multiplier. Okay, multiplier effects happen from AD1 to AD3. How long are the total chain? This one. Total chain of AD. Total chain. Okay, so you know that total chain of AD is from AD0 to AD3, which right now is quite bigger, right? So we got in that AD chain bigger than G chain. And it can be bigger because of multiplier effects from this level, from this gap. Okay, so this is AD original. This is multiplier. Okay, and total chain from AD0 to AD3. This is the total. So AD chain, total chain, bigger than G chain. G chain just only here. Okay, 20 billion, but AD chain more. Not right. I let you write it down. So the total chain can be calculated from the first graph, AD0, until the last graph, AD3, or whatever. Okay, but I just let you just draw just only AD3. And then I think you just explained just only easy things, just making about 3 examples of industry. And that is for multiplier effects. That's all for multiplier. It's quite easy because you just shift AD further, and just explain to me about this thing. If you will see the exercise, they will ask you about to explain multiplier. Even the question doesn't tell you that you need to draw graph, but you knowing that when you explain multiplier effect, you need to draw graph together to let we see the effects quite clear. So you need to draw graph. Even the question doesn't tell you to draw graph. I think you should draw it. Okay, because usually we learn with draw graph and it's quite clear that what is the effects here. Okay, you shift further. However, if I let you to calculate how much of the AD change, because you know that right now G change just only $20 billion. But I don't know how much of the AD change. How can I calculate? Okay, so we can calculate how much of the shipment between 81 to 82 or 82 and 83 using the concept of MPC. Okay, so you can go back to the slide, so you don't need to write it down. So I just let you see. What is MPC? MPC is the marginal propensity to consume. In fact, you learned already in the midterm part. Okay, so what is mean by MPC, or is meaning by marginal propensity to consume? It shows us that when your income change, or you have more money, when you have more money, how much C change? So this concept we'll use to explain how much of the multiplier effects, because when you get more income, we want to see that whether you use your income to consume how much. So it can use it to calculate how much of multiplier effects. Okay. So if you go back to the slide, you will see that from the second effects. So the first chain of G is 20 billion. If you would like to know how much chain for the multiplier effect, you just use MPC multiply with 20 billion. You get another proportion chain on AD. So for the second chain, third chain, you just multiply MPC again with this amount. Okay, so you get MPC square, multiply with 20 billion, and so on and on. If I draw in this one, so I can draw it from this. So this one 20 billion. So how much AD chain here equal to MPC multiplied with 20 billion? Okay. If I want to know how much AD chain here, so I use this amount. And multiply it with MPC again. Okay, so any chain, so we using G chain, how much G chain, and then we multiply with MPC. Because here, people can use money that they got in each industry, they can use money that they got to consume more. So you want to know how much they consume from the income that they got. So we're using MPC multiplied with 20 billion. We know that how much on consumption that they consume more, so we can add up in the AD that chain at first. Another thing, what we know from this industry, okay, we use this bit, multiply with MPC, we know that how much AD chain or how much they consume more. Okay, so everything will go further and further, so we plus everything together, 20 billion plus this amount, plus this amount. If they have more multiplier, you just sum everything up. So what you get this thing, MPC 1 plus MPC plus MPC squared plus, okay, all the way along. Multiply with the G that changed first. From these equations, okay, we can get, okay, I will write it for you. So it's just the reduced form functions. For example, we have 1 plus x squared plus x over 3. So we can just sum it up to be a reduced form as 1 divided with 1 minus x. So if x is MPC, the same, we got this bit is 1 divided with 1 minus MPC. So if you would like to know how much chain, the total chain or total AD after everything, so we're using the 20 billion, okay, and then multiply with this bit. We're getting how much total chain from AD 0 to AD 3. This one so-called multiplier. In fact, you don't need to sum everything up by yourself, so it can be substituted with the equation. If you go back from the first chapter that we see each other, it looks like the equation of total ms, which is equal to 1 divided with r and multiply it with delta d. So it's similar, right? So it looks like when we have the first deposit and the first bank, how much total money supply chain, we just multiply with money multiplier. Again, so this one is not money multiplier, but it is a multiplier effect. Happen because when G chain or T chain, money just flow in the system and people can use money to spending more, AD will change more. So 1 divided with 1 minus MPC is multiplier effect. If the question asks you how much of multiplier or how much of the multiplier effects, if they give you MPC, so you can just calculate it right away, you will get how much of multiplier effects. Or in here, if you know how much of G, so you can substitute 20 billion here in the equation. If you know MPC, you can just get how much money of the total AD chain or total AD. The same, this equation, when you substitute, in fact, because we learn about government policies or fiscal policy, so this one can be either delta G or delta T is the same. So when tax change, how much AD change? So it can be any policies, any variable. Okay. Because we learned about fiscal policy, it have about two variables, whether it will be government spending or tax. Multiplier not difficult, okay? Just everything not difficult, okay? Just go further. In fact, I understand that all of the everything that you learn, it will be new for you, right? And this is why you need to learn, because why you come to study, right? If you not study new things, but I just try to let you feel good that everything you can learn, in fact, but it's not difficult to learn. And it will be, okay, if you understand, it will be quite easy for you. Okay, I don't want you to feel, go out from this room and feel that this subject, I don't want to study, I feel difficult, I feel very bad with this study. So I think more or less you will feel like this is the best idea. Okay. Okay. In fact, this one can be substituted with delta G, delta T. Okay. In this slide, they just tell you that, in fact, you just highlight here. These equations can use to explain any other multiplier that happen. But in this slide or in this chapter, we just learn only fiscal policy, right? So that's why I just tell you that we can substitute either G or T. However, you can apply this equation into any other C, I, G, and X. You can calculate multiplier effects from that variable as well. For example, I didn't change G or T, but I start with changing consumption, investment, or NX. In fact, you can calculate how much AD change, because this factor is the factor that makes AD shift. So you can apply this equation with any other factors, not just only G and T, but because of this material just only already teach you just only fiscal policies. So that's why it can be either two. But in fact, you know that it can be any other variable. Okay. I already finished the multiplier effects, and I see your face that you cannot go furthermore. So I will stop now. Okay? So I will stop now and I will continue everything because we have just already crowding out effects left. And just only that, in fact, crowding out